It's adversities that make you who you are. I want to share a little story because it's about the people. It's not about Gilbert. It's not about fortune. It's about what can this do for you. And here's what it's all about. This lady went through her unbelievable misfortune in her life a few weeks ago. She's in her second month. No different than Clint. No different than Angela, no different than Bonnie, no different than Paul. The adversities when they couldn't go anymore. Paralyzed, fear. They're not going to get their goals. This lady went out on the last day in her first month and qualified first week for first qualification for the car. After more than most people could handle in their heartbreaks, got off the carpet one more time in the last 3 days, put how many people in?
50.
50 to qualify. It will be your next breakfast car winner. That's why we call her Lady of Danger. And anybody can do that. Give her a hand. Give her team a hand. See, this is about people helping people. Leaders developing leaders. I believe we've got the greatest leadership team in the world, and I'll tell you what, it took time. Traveling with Bob today was incredible, the vision he was painting for me today. All we've been doing for the last 9.5 years is giving people an opportunity. Everybody with me? Yes. You guys, if Bob wants to come and bring his computer up here anytime, that's fine. See, week number 8 is what? All about leadership. 3 things that my mentor in the real estate business and in the network marketing business said. Number 1, play your best cards. See, if you don't have best cards, you'll never be able to develop a leader. And then number 2, follow your leaders. I'm going to tell you, because of a continuous personal development, we've developed the best leaders in the world here. Responsibility because of a few leaders in this room here today, like Roger McKay, and I can go on and talk about the Olsons, and I can talk about Teresa, and I can talk about the Bonnies, and I can talk about the Angelas and Jackson, and go on and on and on, and I don't want to miss anybody. But I'll tell you what you guys have that no other team in the world has. When 2 people come together in perfect harmony, a genius is born. And something greater than yourself takes over. That's why Edmonton is the hottest place in the world right now. And we can learn from that. That's something that we developed over the years. You guys, we got people, I'm looking out in the crowd and I see up and coming leaders every day. The first 5 weeks of the 10-week action program, Bob's talking about what more we can do. How can we take where we are and to go to here? See, Bob does not think good in reverse. If anything that Bob has taught me, he says, tell me what you want and I'll show you how to get it. You guys, I believe there's nothing this team can't do. Nothing. And we're proving it month after month after month. You see, it's been a process. You see, we're going to continue to grow. This company's going to continue to grow. But here's what I'm going to tell you, you guys. You can have anything you want when you believe in what you do. You see, it doesn't matter how much you think that Roger's going to win, or how much you think Matt's going to win, or Angela. When you believe you're going to win. And there's only one way that we're going to learn how to win. Why do you think the first 5 weeks is all about action? It's about what you need to do. You got to make calls. You got to make better calls. You got to. What do we learn in the first few weeks? We got to make more calls, better calls, and learn how to handle a few objections so we lose, so we can make more money. Absolutely. And that was the first 5 weeks. So if you were doing that for the first 5 weeks and it wasn't working, but you were doing the work, then we had to get into what I believe every person in this room needs to know. What is stopping us from winning? It's called the paradigms. It's called the stuff that Bob teaches better than anybody in the world. See, I take it real serious when people don't win. Why can 2 people be in the exact same spot at the exact same time? One wins and one loses. It's everything that Bob has taught me. It's not what's going on outside, it's what's going on inside. Bob renamed me one time the Stuck Buster, and I can look at all my life. We've all been stuck. We've all been there. Bob has taken me through places and valleys that I don't have even time to even think about anymore. Because I'm not going back there. But it's good to go and have a look at that and visit it once in a while. So what do you think the next 5 weeks of our program is all? It's all about the things we got to do to get what we got. That's what it's all about, you guys. And I can sit up here and I love what I do, and when your work becomes your play and your play becomes your work, it doesn't matter if you're working or play. I love what I do. I'm going to spend the rest of my life doing what I do, and that's helping develop people. That's it. You want to know why? Because I look at somebody like Bob Proctor that spent 45 years doing it, and I watch what he does. He never gets tired of what he does. How can you get tired when you run in, everybody comes up and thanks you for the help? All he's done is understood it, believed in it, and taught it to people all over the world. See, that's what you get to have a great life. You see, that's what it's all about. Are you pretty well ready, Bob?
Whenever you're ready, Gilbert.
I'm ready. Can you tell I'm ready? Are you guys ready?
Yeah!
Bad when you have to turn yourself on, isn't it? Hey, listen, at my age, I'm glad to get turned on. You know, I think we ought to give Gilbert and his team a big hand. We're giving you a big hand, you and your team, Gilbert. Good. No, I'm okay. I stopped bleeding.
Well, just put it up there just in case you need it.
I might as well put it on. That's a Band-Aid? I'm glad I wasn't hurt. You gotta see this.
Superman Band-Aids?
Yes.
Part of it.
Don't go in the medical profession, Gilbert.
It's good now.
This is the Band-Aid. Yeah. Glad I'm not really wounded. I don't know how I did that. We were grabbing stuff on the plane, and boom, I started bleeding. It's always encouraging to see that the blood's still running when it stops. Right? Well, we're going to have a good afternoon. Are you all ready to learn something?
Yeah!
How many would like to get Gilbert's check every month? Hear that, Gilbert? You're not listening. Gilbert, you're going to have to sit down and listen. I told you to do something. You know, when I picked up this book, first of all, anybody that's in this room is way ahead of where I was when I first started to study the material that I'm going to share with you. I was in bad shape, and I was going backwards. I was in the passing lane going in the wrong direction. And I met someone that obviously saw something in me that I wasn't capable of seeing in myself. And it took me 9 years to figure that out. I had started to win in a very big way, and I was trying to figure out why I was winning, because all the indicators were that I should never win. And I really believe when I can win, anybody can win. I've gone into prisons and I've helped people where they were ready to throw away the key, come out and live useful lives. I have worked with kids in school and in nothing flat, watched them go from a C and D average to an A and B average almost overnight. These are not exaggerations. I have gone to work with the largest insurance company in the world and watched their sales go up by hundreds of millions of dollars. In fact, I was rushing off the plane and I heard this guy say, Bob Proctor, and I turned around and he says, Kevin O'Connor, you wouldn't remember me. And I said, oh yes, I would. Does anybody here know Kevin O'Connor? Nobody? Kevin O'Connor was a senior executive with the London Life Insurance Company. I did a lot of work with them. But he was with the Prudential, largest company in the world. They spent millions on training. And they did not know why their top producers were top producers. I figured it out. I cracked the code. And I did it because I was looking for it. And when we went in there, their sales went up by hundreds of millions of dollars. I today have a company that, in fact, I have 7 different companies, and they operate all over the world. If you're taking notes, write down www.goals33.com. Now, it might be goal, I think it's goals, but it's either goals or goal 33. And if you've got a teenager, you can send them there, and we teach all our information to the teenagers for nothing. That program is in over 100 countries today. We have consultants that operate in 46 different countries. In fact, I came there to here from Florida, where we had over 100 people and we were training them to teach our material. So I mention that to just impress upon you, not to impress you, but impress upon you the power of this information. I came here because Gilbert Anderson is my friend. And I watched him go from nothing to where he is today. When I met him, he was so messed up he didn't know the war was over. And I'm not exaggerating, and he'd be the first one to admit that. But I was able to help him because I was able to help myself. And I think anyone that's winning, if they're real honest and they stop and think about it, they'll realize they're winning because someone saw something in them that the person couldn't see in themselves, and they got them to recognize it. And that's what happened to me. It was before some of you were born in 1961. And he put this book in my hand. Now, it wasn't this one, it was another one. But it was a copy of this. I got this one in 1963. My brother had this one bound in Morocco leather, and he gave it to me. The book's fallen apart. But I have carried this with me since 1963, and I read it every day. I don't sit all day and read it, but at some point during the day, I'll take it out and I'll just open it. Wherever it opens, that's what I read. And the man that gave me this, he gave me a suggestion, and I'll probably repeat it at a certain point in the presentation today. But he pointed out in here, he said, the man that wrote this book spent his entire life putting it together. He was mentored by the wealthiest man in the world, Andrew Carnegie. And Carnegie introduced him to 500 of the world's most successful individuals in all walks of life. And Hill studied them his entire life. And he found that there was a golden thread running through their life. They all had something in common, and he put it in this book. Now, at the start of the book, he said, there's a secret in this book. Yet, he said, if you can find the secret in the book, you can have anything you seriously want. Now, I'll be the first to tell you, I did not believe that. I thought that was a crop. I just couldn't buy it. Because I had never been able to have anything I wanted, and I knew that I couldn't get whatever I wanted. See, I knew that. Now, I have since found out that it ain't what a person don't know that hurts them. It's what they know that ain't so that hurts them. And I knew a lot of things that just weren't so. But at any rate, he said, listen, if he spent his whole life putting this together, it would be a very prudent move on your part if you made up your mind, you'd spend the rest of your life understanding and applying it. Now, I don't know why I did, but I did. And my life began to change. My income in a year went from $4,000 to over $175 a year. Then I took it over $1 million. I've come to the conclusion that earning money is one of the simplest things I've ever learned to do. I can teach anyone how to earn a lot of money, if they do what I suggest. Now, Gilbert asked me to speak on paradigms and praxis. Paradigm is nothing but a multitude of habits. Praxis is the integration of belief with behavior. Now, what does that mean? Well, I can say something to you. I say, do you believe that you can do a lot better than you're doing? Do you believe that?
Yes.
Yeah. Are you doing a lot better than you're doing? No. You see? But you believe you can. Now, you see, that's on a conscious level. I was communicating to your intellect from mine, and you were honest. You said, no, I'm not. But you see, I think everybody in the room knows how to do at least twice as well as they're doing. But that doesn't mean they're going to do it. But we believe we can. Well, I have found that we have a belief system on two levels. We have it on an education or an intellectual level, that's our consciousness, but we also have a belief system on a subconscious level. And that's the part that controls our behavior. So a person will say, I believe that, and yet their behavior would indicate that they'd never heard of it. Now, I'm going to show you how to change that today. And there isn't a person in the room that isn't going to understand everything I say. I won't give anybody a brain hernia. The stuff I've got is pretty simple. It's just not understood by very many people. Now, if I could show you a system that would definitely change the direction of your life, and you'll understand that it would. How many people in here believe that you're ready to make a firm and irrevocable commitment that you'll do what I suggest? Let me see a show of hands. All right? Now, if you really mean that, I guarantee you your life will change. Because I don't know why, but that's the question I was asked. It wasn't exactly in those words, but that's the essence of it. That's exactly what I was asked, and I did it. Now, I have spent the last almost 50 years trying to figure out why I did it. Because when I was a little kid, I had a teacher say to me, Bob, why'd you do that? I say, I don't know. Well, you know better. I know. Well, why'd you do it? I don't know. I joined the Navy. Every commanding officer, Proctor, why'd you do that? I don't know, sir. What do you mean you don't know? You know better. I know. Well, why'd you do it? I don't know. I got out of the Navy, every person I worked for. But why are you doing that? I don't know. Well, you know better. I know. Why are you doing it? I don't know. I got married. And my wife said, why are you doing that? And I said, drop it right there. You see, I was doing things, I want you to think, listen to me. I was doing things I didn't want to do. It was giving me results I didn't want to get, and I was doing them anyway. You can relate to that. Everybody in the room can. Well, you see, I was doing stuff that was causing me all kinds of headaches, heartaches, and problems. I didn't know how to stop. I was told if you just change your attitude. But nobody ever taught me what attitude was. You might ask the next 20 or 30 people you meet, what's attitude? Most of them don't know. They really don't know. We can go all the way through our educational system and come out and know virtually nothing about ourselves. You can get a degree in economics from the most prestigious universities in the world and know nothing about earning money. 1% of our population earns 96% of all the money that's being earned. Now that's something I teach, and I'm very good at it. How many of you, now not much good at anything else, I should mention that, but I'm very good at that. How many of you saw The Secret? How many have not seen The Secret? How'd you get in here? Well, Ashraf is on The Secret. He's the one that talked about the vision board. I started coaching John Ashraf when he was 20 years old. He was a real estate agent, and when I met him, he was earning $40,000, $50,000 a year. John will be quick to tell you, he's earned up to $18 million in a year. Yeah. James Ray is on The Secret. I met James Ray, and he was doing what he was doing, but he wasn't doing it very well. And he came to a seminar of mine, and he mentioned that he was going to be in Toronto doing some work for Rogers Cable. I said, well, give me a call if I'm in town, we'll get together. He came over to the house. I spent a day with him. Over the coming year, he earned an extra $500,000, and he'll be quick to tell you, he tells the people in the seminar, he earns millions of dollars because of what I taught him. Now, I could go on and tell you Joe Vitale, a number of people on The Secret. What I'm going to share with you is so basic and so simple, most people miss it. When I leave here, you're going to think I'm a real nice guy. And you want to know something? You won't know hardly anything about me. You're going to think I'm a nice guy because I'm going to spend the next couple of hours talking about you. And I'm going to talk about the high side of you, the good side of you. And whenever you talk to another person about themselves, about their world, yet you do it in a very positive frame, they will give you their undivided attention. You may want to go to the washroom, but you won't want to go in case you miss something. It's true.
Very true.
That's exactly what happens when you sit down with a prospect. You've got to find out what they want. Don't be quick to tell them what you want. They don't care about your company. They care about themselves. They care about their name, their family, their kids, where they're going. And if you talk to them about that, they will give you anything you ask for. They will give you their love, their respect, and they'll give you their business. Now, I'm going to tell you, 1% of the population earns 96% of all the money. And that's primarily why that 1% does that. They spend all their life just trying to figure out how to help somebody. And if you fall in love with the idea of helping other people, your life will change. In the last 10 days, I guess it's about 10 days, I worked in Phoenix, Toronto, Chennai in India, Abu Dhabi, Panama, Florida, and then here. We work all over the world. That's just in the last 10 days. I've been doing this for 40 years. Now, if you do anything for 40 years, you attempt to do it well, you're going to learn something about it. I don't know much about anything else, but I know a lot about you. And I'll tell you what I know. I know that we're all the same. We're different shades. I see different shades of skin in here. I see different gender. If we get into your background, some of you have been to school, some of you haven't. Do you want to know something? We're all the same. You can go into different countries and you can go into different cultures. When you understand that culture is nothing but group habit and that appearance is nothing. Like I was doing a big show down in the university in LA actually, and they filmed it with Lisa Gibbons, and then they piped it into about 400 or 500 theaters in America, and I think it would probably come into the theaters here in Canada. And Les Brown was on the stage with me. There was somebody in between us, and at one point I said, like, Les is not black, and I am not white. Now I could almost feel the audience thinking, where is Proctor going now? And I said, Les's shoes are black, and he's not the color of his shoes. I said, my shirt is white, and I'm not the color of my shirt. The truth is, if you ever saw a white person, you would probably get scared. Oh no, that's true. You have never seen a black person, and you've never seen a white person. You see different people of different shades, and we've got to start understanding this. We've got to understand that the person in the big house with the big car is no different than the person in the little house with the little car. Death is a leveler of all human greatness, and it reduces us all to the same level. You never own anything. You never own anything. You're merely a custodian. You have it to use while you're here. And since you can never own it, you should never let it own you. And that is a basic rule. Yet, if we get that, and we understand we're all the same, you'll never have any trouble building a business. You'll never have any trouble understanding something about yourself. And if you see somebody else doing it, you know that you can do it. And that's sort of the foundation of what I want to talk to you about. This is, it's really good stuff, if I can get this thing going. Why that's not moving.
Okay, went Bob.
Going now. Going now. What the hell is going on?
There it is. Yep.
Hello? There it is. I was blessing that beautiful computer. Some of you thought I was cursing it. I wasn't. I said, you wonderful computer, you're going to work perfectly. That's actually a lie, but, you know, thinking, what the hell's wrong with this now? I was in North Africa. I had 1,000 Russians in the audience. They were from Russia. This was a holiday place where the Russians come. And I was making a presentation. None of them spoke English, and I spoke no Russian. And in fact, I've got it on my computer. I've got my whole presentation, not necessarily this one, because I make different ones all the time. It was all in Russian. I had the whole thing translated. The slides, it was all in Russian. And I was out in what they call the green room with the president of the company, and somebody was in the stage getting everybody pumped up, you know, and they had a camera on the president, and I didn't even know that at the start. He says, this is being fed onto the stage, or into the audience. Yet, they were talking about what a wonderful presentation I was going to put on. They were going to love me, and I come up, and the computer died. Now, that was significant, since the only thing in Russian that I had were the slides. And this audience, they were wound up, they're all ready to go. And I'm trying to get the computer to work, and you can just feel the energy go. And finally got it working, we got it all going again. But let's come back to this. When I first started to study this material, Dr. J.B. Ryan was a professor at Duke University. And he was probably the foremost authority in the area of the mind. He did more research. I mean, he just did an awful lot of good for the world in the research that he had done. And he said the mind is the greatest power in all of creation. Now, unfortunately, we go right through our educational system and come out knowing very little about the mind. It's something that we should study, because as we start to study it, everything starts to change. Now, John Ruskin said that education does not mean teaching people what they don't know. It means teaching them to behave as they do not behave. Remember I said, Bob, why are you doing that? I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? You know better. I know. Why are you doing it? I don't know. And you see, it's teaching people to behave as they do not behave. I was doing things I didn't want to do. I wanted to start to do things I did want to do. Do you know that most people spend their time thinking of what they don't want rather than thinking of what they do want? And all the great leaders all down through history have been in complete unanimous agreement on one point, that we become what we think about. Now, the more you play with this idea, the more powerful it becomes. You and I can literally sit down and create our world. Do you know that we're the only creature on the planet that is totally disoriented in its environment? All the other little creatures in the world are completely at home in their environment. They blend in with it. We're the only one that is totally disoriented in our environment, because we can create our own environment. And unfortunately, we create one we don't want. And we're never taught how to create one we do want. Well, as we go through this information today, I'm going to show you the information that I know you're looking for. Some of you have been in presentations I've done before, and you know that I've got good information. I've got license to brag about everything I've got, because none of it's mine. I've just been an extremely curious guy for a long, long time. I'm absolutely fascinated with this information. Nothing surprises me anymore when it comes to the human personality, but it never ceases to amaze me. And I know that you want to do some things you're not doing. Some of you would like to weigh different. You're trying to lose weight. You know what you want to understand? Anything you lose, your subconscious mind is programmed to look for. So unconsciously, you're going to be looking for it. Why do you think people gain and lose tons in their lifetime? It's because of the programming. What you've got to do is release it. Just release it. You've got to hold the image of the good that you desire. Now, Joel Barker wrote the book on paradigms. Gilbert asked me to speak on paradigms. Barker said to ignore the power of paradigms. Now think of this. To ignore the power of paradigms, to influence your judgment, is to put yourself at risk when exploring the future. Now think about that for a moment. Most people don't even know what a paradigm is. You ask your next door neighbor, they won't know. And you shouldn't feel bad, because hardly anybody knows. We should be taught this as little kids in school. If you can teach a child a language, and at birth, understand this, a child is a linguistic genius. You can teach them any language. We have an associate over in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, and the little boy at 4 years old could speak 4 languages fluently. Now, if you can teach a child a language, you can teach them about paradigms. You can teach them about earning money. You can teach them about attitude. But we teach, you know, until they're about 5. By the time they're 5, they're pretty well programmed. The die is cast, and that's going to be the way that child will live. Now, if they wake up at some point, they can start to change it. And that's why we have meetings like this. That's why we have companies like this. And that's why this information is so important, because it helps you build the life you want. See, the paradigm is like living in a box and trying to get out of it. There's borders around us. We never seem to get beyond the borders. Unfortunately, the instructions for getting out of the box are on the outside of the box. If you don't get it from someone else, you probably won't get it. Now, I have found this as an old saying that I sort of live by. I love it. The main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. What is the main thing? Well, let's analyze it for a moment. We get one life. So it's about lifestyle. It's not necessarily how much you've got. It's what you're doing with it. It's not where you're going. It's, are you enjoying the trip? Do you know, we've got an ingenious system built within us to keep our body in excellent working order. The earning of money is an exact science. You can earn all you want. And happiness is governed by exact laws. So you see, happiness, health, and wealth are natural states for us to be in. They're not normal, but they're natural. Normal is what everybody's doing. Well, if you follow what everybody's doing, you'll probably be on the wrong track for the rest of your life. Natural states is nature's way. Nature operates by law. The tide goes out, the tide comes in. The summer follows the winter. These are all laws. The night follows the day. Everybody should understand them. Hardly anyone does. And we want to ask ourselves, am I really living the way I want to live? I remember Bill Gove one time in a meeting. He ended up being a mentor of mine. He said, if I want to be free, I've got to be me. Not the me I think you think I should be. Not the me I think my wife thinks I should be. No, not the me I think my kids think I should be. If I want to be free, I've got to be me. Now, if I got to be me, I better know who me is. And most people don't know who they are. It is an interesting subject as you get studying it. You've got to learn to live the way you want to live. Now, some people think that's a selfish attitude, living the way they want to live. That's not a selfish attitude at all. That's a healthy attitude. Selfishness is not living as one wishes to live. Selfishness is asking others to live as one wishes to live. We should never have to ask our wife if we can do something. Our wife should never ask us if she can do something. This is an individual thing. How do you really want to live? And most people don't understand that. I've been in a few marriage ceremonies. I've never heard anyone say, now you own her. And now you own him. You're late. You said you were going to be here. I know, I changed my mind. If you don't shut up, I'll permanently change it. You've got to learn how to live the way we want to live. And we want to get with people that want to live that way. We want to work with people that want to work that way. We want to do business with people that want to do business that way. There shouldn't be a lot of competitiveness. Competition is not good. Competition destroys. Cooperation is in. Competition is history. And if we don't learn to cooperate, we're never going to have the lifestyle we want. Now, Ray Stanford is the man that changed my life, or at least put me on the right track. He said, Bob, let this R represent results. And the two H's and the W represent happiness, health, and wealth. And then he asked me if I thought he was a happy guy. And I said, yeah, he looked pretty happy to me. He said, have you ever seen me sick? And I had to admit I hadn't. He said, have you ever seen me when I was broke? And again, I had to admit I hadn't. Well, he proceeded to tell me he thought I was one of the most miserable people he had ever met. And I was an unhappy person. And he said, you're always sick. And I said, you don't have a terminal illness or anything, but you've always got a headache or a cold or something. Yet he said, you're always broke. He was actually being kind. The 4 represents 4,000. That's what I earned. The 6 represent what I owed. So you see, if I had taken every cent I earned for 18 months to pay debts, I'd have nothing to live on. I would have just broken even. See, the truth was I didn't have any hope. I couldn't possibly see how I could turn this around. My life was absolutely in a mess, and I couldn't see the answer. He said, you're thinking of why you can't do it. Why don't you start thinking of how you can? And that's when he asked me, he said, who are you? I said, what do you mean, who am I? It's a pretty simple question. And I said, well, I'm Bob. What do you mean, who am I? No, I said, that's who you think you are, but that's not who you are. I said, what are you talking about? Well, he said, Bob and Proctor are just 2 words. That's your name. That's not you. You're not your name. Do you ever think that? That's interesting, isn't it? You're not your name. And I said, well, this is me. No, he said, that's your body. You've never had anybody phone into work and say, body won't be in today, it's sick. You never hear anyone say, I'm hand or I'm leg. My hand, my leg, my name, my results. Do you know most people do not know who they are? They really do not know who they are. And yet, they're trying to change the results. If you're going to change the results, you've got to change you. I remember sitting down in front of Gilbert when I first met him. And he was asking some real dumb questions. And I slammed the table in front of him. I got tired of listening to him. And I said, listen, if you don't find out who you are, you're never going to change your results. Now, he really wanted to change his results. He did not like me at that moment. But you see, I wasn't trying to get him to like me. I was trying to get him to like him. And I figured if I shocked him enough, that might jar his brain. And Gilbert settled down and started to pay attention. His life has changed like night and day. His annual or his monthly income is probably twice what most people's annual income is. And it's rising. I sat on a plane with him, flying from Vancouver to here, and I laid out a plan for him how he could earn $1 million a year on the side without even working. Now, anybody can do this. There were some people around us that they knew me. I didn't know they knew me. And they were talking to Gilbert when he got off the plane. He said, God, that was really good. I wish we hadn't landed. They were listening. And you see, it's so simple. But that's where I was. Now, I had no formal education. I had 3 months high school formal education. I had no business experience. I mean, I used to have dumb jobs. I've had jobs that lasted for a day, and I'd get fired. And somebody say, how could you do that? Listen, I did it twice. I was getting good at it. Yet, and I'm not exaggerating. Every time they called me into the office, I knew I was getting fired. I used to refer to them as the suits. I thought anybody with a suit was brilliant. Man, did I ever get a shock when I found out the truth. You know, and the idea of changing things or winning, it was just beyond my comprehension. I just couldn't grasp it. But nobody was really explaining things to me properly. They would just talk about earning a lot of money. See, a person came into this room and they can understand what Gilbert says about the marketing plan on how you could really multiply your income. And anybody that's been in the presentation 2 or 3 times may even be able to go through it themselves with someone, but that doesn't mean they're going to do it. We see it, yet we really want it, but we don't do it. Why is that? Why, when we really want it, we don't do it? It comes back to paradigms and praxis. That's why Gilbert asked me, he said, listen, I'm doing this program. Would you come in and spend some time in 2 or 3 cities? So I said, okay. And he asked me this a year ago. And so I said I would. And that's why I'm here. Now, I'm going to show you some of the things that I was taught. I decided I was going to change that. I didn't know how to do it, and I knew I didn't know how to do it. But I decided I would do it. Now, I'm going to show you what I learned, or some of what I learned, and we're going to show you a program that is, it's absolutely incredible if you want to continue to learn after this meeting today. And I would hope that you do. And this program has only been presented once in Canada, only twice in North America. We presented it to our own consultants down in West Palm Beach over the weekend. Then we presented it to Gilbert's group in, where were we? In Kelowna. I'm just trying to think of where I am. In Kelowna yesterday. I'm going to present it to you today. This program has never been presented anywhere in the world outside of that. Well, 3 weeks ago we presented it in Scandinavia, in Denmark and in Sweden. This program that I'm going to show you has taken a couple of years to make. It is absolutely incredible. And it just amplifies everything that we're going to teach here when it goes beyond it. Now, there's the book that I started studying. I'm going to take the book, and this is the book that really changed my life to start off with. And I'm going to take a paragraph out of a couple of places in the book and show you Earl Nightingale, who I ended up working for, taught me how to study. And he said, Bob, the book is nothing but a picture painted in words. And he said, it's like a movie. And there's parts of the movie that are transformational, if you really dig into them. Now, this one paragraph here that I've highlighted, I don't know how many times. I've probably read that a few thousand times over the past 45, 50 years. It's a very powerful paragraph, and it's something that a lot of people don't understand. So I've blown it up for your benefit. We say there's a difference between wishing for a thing and being ready to receive it. No one's ready for a thing until they believe that they can acquire it. This state of mind must be belief and not mere hope or wish. Now he said open-mindedness is essential to belief. Closed minds will not inspire faith, courage, or belief. Now that is a very, very significant point. Open-mindedness is essential. You could be sitting there because you don't know me, you don't know what I'm going to say, and you could be on guard. And so you're really analyzing. Don't do that. I'm not telling you to accept it. I'm just saying don't reject it. Let it sink in until I'm finished, and then ask yourself, does this make sense? And I guarantee you it will. Now think, there's a big difference between wishing for a thing and being ready to receive it. Hope and wish will not do it. Yet never will. If you're going to make the change, you've got to believe you can make the change. Yet until you believe it, you're not ready. I spent the first 26 years wishing for good things. I wished I could have a half-decent car. I wished I could get some nice clothes. I wished I could take a trip. I wished I had some money. None of those wishes happened. I was wishing. I was hoping. He said, that doesn't cut it. You got to believe you can get it. Now, I wrote on a card that I would have in my possession $25,000 by New Year's Day of 1970. I wrote that on the card in 1961. I really didn't believe it would happen. But you know what I found out? I found if you write a lie on a card, and you read it often enough, you're going to start to believe it. And when you start to believe it, it starts to happen. Now think about this for a moment. I kept reading this card. Up until then, all I was thinking about was debt. That's all that was on my mind. Now, if your goal is to get out of debt, I guarantee you, you're going to stay in debt forever. But you say the goal is to get out of debt. I don't care if it's get out or get in. If you're thinking debt, you're going to attract debt. That's what the secret's all about. You attract whatever you're in harmonious vibration with, and the images you hold dictate the vibration you're in. Now, we'll talk more about that a little later. Yet, through reading this, I started to think about earning money. I started to hear people talking about it. So I'd talk to them about it. Now you'd say, well, isn't getting out of debt earning money? No. It's a false concept. It'll keep you in debt. And some of you are playing this game. It won't work. And because I started to hear people talking about it, I started to think about it. Because I was thinking about it, I'd hear them talking about it. Somebody said there's good money cleaning floors. I said, I'm not proud, I'll clean floors. I was on the fire department in a suburb of Toronto in East York. So I had all kinds of time off. I only worked 7 days and 7 nights a month, and we used to sleep all night. And I started to clean one office. I got $15 a time. I washed it twice. Then I got another one for $65 a month. Do you know, in a relatively short period of time, I was cleaning offices in Toronto, Montreal, Boston, Cleveland, Atlanta, and London, England. We were doing millions of dollars a year. The first year, my income went to $175,000. Then very quickly after, it went over $1 million. I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. Now somebody say, well, you were cleaning offices. There was a lot of people cleaning offices, but they weren't doing it the way I was doing it. I had this thing rocking everywhere. If I wanted to go into a city, I just go there. I always wanted to live in England, so I went and moved there and started business. Yet I had it going all over the place. But if you asked me, I couldn't tell you why I was doing it. Do you know that these large companies don't know why their top performers are top performers? They don't know. I had a man come to the seminar in Waldorf, in Astoria, New York, a number of years ago. Great big guy. Yet he'd come up to me at the end of a 3-day program. He said, you know, I really want to thank you for this. He said, I never understood what I did. I said, what'd you do? He said, I won the gold medal in the decathlon in the Olympics in 1956 in Melbourne, Australia. Milt Campbell's his name. Now, Milt's a very good friend of mine today. He didn't know why he had won. You see, most people that are winning are unconscious competence. They're competent, but they're unconscious. They don't know why they are. Now, prior to reading that, I was an unconscious incompetent. I mean, I was losing, yet, and I didn't know why, and that's where a lot of people live. Yet, so, at some point, I became so absolutely fascinated with what was happening in my life that I wasn't satisfied with winning. I wanted to know why. And I couldn't find anybody that could tell me. So I thought somebody has to know, and they've either written in a book or they're talking about it, so I started to study. Now, if you were to come into my home, I have a beautiful library. It's not a big room, but it's a beautiful room, and it's all bookshelves all the way around. There's over 3,000 books on the shelf. They're all in alphabetical order by author. I have a little table right in the center of the room. Earl Nightingale told me, he said, if you surround your mate with greatness, some of it will rub off. So I thought, well, this might be working. And I've read all those books. And I go back and read some of them a number of times. You see? But that's the first book I read, and I was 26. When he asked me if I read anything, I'd said, no, I can't read. Now that wasn't true, I could, not well. But I could. Do you know that most people read at about a grade 7 level? And that's because they learn to read by the time they're in grade 7 and never improve upon the skill from that point on. Next time you go into somebody's home, ask them if you can see their library. They don't have to. They may have a book lying here or there. They probably don't even have a bookshop. Why is that? Well, they don't really know. Very small percentage of the population ever buy books. And yet, The Secret of the Ages are all tied up in books. In fact, Robert Collier wrote a book called The Secret of the Ages. It's a phenomenal book. And so I started to read books, and then I started to study. And if anybody spoke on the subject, I'd go there. I didn't care where I had to go. I'd fly all over the world. But I wanted to find out what made me tick. It took me 9 years before I started to tie the pieces together. And when I started to tie those pieces together, my whole life started to change. And that's when I decided I was going to leave the business I was in. I wanted to go to work with Earl Nightingale, Lloyd Conant. I wanted them to mentor me. I became aware that the most valuable thing in the world is a good mentor, a good coach. Because what you're taking is the wisdom that they've got, and it can be transferred from their mind to your mind. Socrates talked about this. He said, you don't spend your whole life studying. Benefit from somebody else's studies. I've been studying this for almost 50 years. Gilbert's getting the benefit of that because I've been working with him. You can get the benefit of that because I can work with you. Do you see, when we start to understand this, everything starts to change. Now, I was with my mentor one day, and he said something, and it was just like bells going on, like a siren started ringing in my mind. See, I was trying to understand this word belief, because I understood it there. William James, around the turn of the century, back around 1900, he said, believe, and your belief will actually create the fact. There's only two sources of reference to go to find out about yourself. One's science and the other's theology. Yet, I don't care whether you can go to the Bible, the Bhagavad Gita, the Quran, the Torah, go into all the good books, go into great psychological books. Every one of them, without exception, tell you you've got to believe. And so I'm starting to understand this word belief. What the heck is it? You know, how do you get it? How do you get it? Yet this day I was sitting, and it was just come out as part of a conversation. He said, our belief system is based upon our evaluation of something. And frequently, if you reevaluate a situation, your belief about that situation will change. And I thought, that's it. That's what happened to me. I was reevaluating who I was. Do you see, up until I got into that book, I thought I was my report card. I thought I was the last evaluation, thank you, of the job that I might have had. I didn't really know who I was. And as I started to study myself, my whole world began to change. Do you know that you've got enough power in your hand? Hold your hand in front of you for a moment. Just take a look at it. Do you know there's enough potential energy in that hand to light up Edmonton for nearly a week? Do you know that you've got about 11 million kilowatt hours per pound potential energy locked up in the electrons in the atoms of your body? You're nothing but a mass of energy. Then you'll find people saying, I haven't got any energy. My God, that's all they are. But they don't know how to utilize it. You know that the blood circulates through your body through hundreds of miles of passageway. Every 33 seconds, it carries all the food in, all the garbage out in one sweeping change. Yes, you start to study some of these things about yourself, it becomes mind-boggling. Do you know that your brain is an electronic switching station? You can just activate a couple of brain cells, woo, like that, you change the vibration you're in. Yes, you change your vibration, you change what you attract to you. Do you know the vibration you're in, you send out to the whole world. Another person can look at you and read you like a book. What is your name?
Craig.
Craig?
Duchek.
Craig Duchek. Do we ever spend any time together?
No.
No, how many know Craig? He's got a stubborn streak in him about as wide as this room, hasn't he? Yeah, wider than this room. You know something? This guy is so persistent. This man wrote an entire chapter on persistence. You don't have to read it because you already got it. If I'm going to sell him something, I'm going to take my time because he operates from the left hemisphere of his brain. He's very analytical. He can make a good lawyer, a good accountant, a good engineer. He's a very analytical guy. He likes a lot of order around him. Now, are you two together?
Yeah.
Ooh, there'd be trouble in River City if you guys don't agree, because she's just about as strong as you are. All right? And both operate, but she got a little right brain in her. You're almost all left. Now, how would I know that? I can feel the energy around your body. See, the energy around the body can be photographed. You can actually photograph the energy leaving the body. And as you change the images in your mind, the density and the color of that energy will change. Well, do you know that we've been given a mental faculty and we can hone it up and we can get it so damn tuned in that you can walk by somebody and you know exactly what they're like. Everything going on the inside shows up on the outside. You pick up that vibration and you can feel it. Now, if I can do that, you can do that. Anything you see one person do, you can do. Now, you don't always want to learn how to do some of the things you see other people do, but it's positive proof that you can do it. Well, as I started to study some of this, I started to become fascinated with me. I'm not talking about an ego trip. I'm talking about absolutely fascinated with who I am. Then I started to understand, I know who you are. That's all you ever have to study is study yourself. You study yourself, you'll know everybody else. See, there's not 1,000 minds in this room. There's one mind. There's 1,000 expressions of that mind, but only one mind. We're really all the same. Now, some of us are really screw up and others are really making it happen, but it's how you're using your mind. It's what you're doing with yourself. Now, get this. He went on to say, remember, no more effort is required in order to aim high in life to demand abundance and prosperity than is required to accept misery and poverty. It doesn't take any more energy to really make it happen than it does to struggle by. Here I was earning over $1 million a year, and I wasn't working hard at all. I had money coming in from all over the place. And I wasn't doing anything. Do you know the secret to great wealth is to have multiple sources of income? Do you know that working is the very worst way to earn money? It is. It definitely is. Study. Some people, they work hard all their life, never got anything. You'll find others, they hardly working at all, and they're extremely wealthy. Do you know that earning a lot of money has nothing to do with intelligence? You're going to find people that are absolutely brilliant, and they're broke. You'll find others who are functionally illiterate. They can neither read nor write, and they're worth millions. We've got to start to understand the rules. No, money's not going to make you a better person. Money's just going to make you more of who you already are. If you're not a nice person, you'll become just absolutely unbearable. However, if you are a nice person, you're going to become a lot nicer. Money's a magnifier. It just enables you to do more of what you're doing in a bigger way. It's only used for two things. One is to make you comfortable. And the more comfortable you are, the more creative you can become. And the other, it enables you to extend the service you render far beyond your own presence. I'm always wanting to earn more money. I have to earn a lot of money because we're doing a lot of things. We're doing it in a lot of areas. We're working all over the world. We want to help everybody understand this. I think everybody can, and I think everybody should understand it, but hardly anybody does. The educational system doesn't teach this. It takes no more energy to really make it happen than it does to struggle. Man, I was struggling. I didn't even think I could make it happen. I have no formal education, no business experience. Ray said to me, that's why you can't. Have you ever stopped to think of how you could? He said, you're always talking about what's wrong with you. Have you any idea what's right with you? Have you any idea the power is in your brain? Do you know your brain is an electronic switching station? Do you know that the electrical system in your body would make the electrical system in a supercomputer look like an absolute toy? The central nervous system in the body is the electrical system. We've got to learn how to work with it. We've got to learn how to keep this body in the vibration we want it to be in. I'll be 75 in a couple of months. I could wear most of you out. If you come on the road with me, you drop. But you see, I have no lack of energy. All the energy there ever was or ever will be is omnipresent. What we've got to do is learn how to let it flow. People say you're getting older, you should slow down. That's a bunch of crap. You should speed up. The older you get, the wiser you should become. And the wiser you become, the more power you got. You could pretty well book on this. Almost everything you've been taught is false. It's true. Now, listen, if it weren't, everybody'd be winning. And everybody's not. You can take all the people that are winning in a big way and stick them in a Volkswagen, probably in any neighborhood. You really start to make it happen, I get into care and tell you, in your family, you'll stand out like a giraffe in a herd of field mice. Hardly anybody understands this. They just don't understand it. Now look, I took another paragraph, and this was a bit of a flop for me. Specialized knowledge. Now see, keep in mind, I really didn't know very much of anything. I mean, ignorance is our only problem, and mine was personified. I mean, I was really ignorant. And he says here, he said, before you can be sure of your ability to transmute desire into its monetary equivalent, you will require specialized knowledge. And when I read that, I thought, well, that's it, I'm toast. There isn't no work. I mean, I didn't know very much about anything. When I started to clean the floors, I thought everybody knows how to clean floors. Well, I was cleaning Canada Starch on Comstock Road in Toronto. There was 3,000 square feet. I had water everywhere. I thought it was going to take me forever to wash that floor. See, I thought everybody knew how to wash it. Everybody doesn't know how to wash a floor. And so Ray sat down with me and he said, so you think that's going to stop you? He said, look at this here. Here's another paragraph right down here. Just halfway down the page is another paragraph. And if you start to study this paragraph, you'll find out you don't need the information. Look at this. He said, the accumulation of great fortunes calls for power. And power is acquired through highly organized and intelligently directed specialized knowledge. But that knowledge does not have to be in the possession of the person who accumulates fortune. I have some absolutely brilliant people that work with me. They could figure me right through a brick wall. Lawyers, accountants, MBAs, absolutely brilliant people. They know things that I'll never learn because I have no inclination to learn them. See, Andrew Carnegie was Napoleon Hill's mentor. Andrew Carnegie became a billionaire, the first billionaire in the world. And he did it in the steel industry. And he said he knew absolutely nothing about the manufacturing or marketing of steel. And he said he had no inclination to learn anything about it, and yet that's where he was earning his money. How did he do it? He said he did it through the aid of his mastermind group. He got a group of people together. He got a team together. Driving over here from the airport, Gilbert was talking about what a phenomenal team he's got that he works with here in Edmonton. He said, you watch, we'll go in there, everything will be set up. He said, this is a team that works in harmony. You talk about cooperation, that's the way this team operates. Now, if you look at this, you've got an abundance of energy, just in what I've read. You've got an infinite source of supply. You can have anything you want, and you don't even have to be very bright. Now, you see, I started to gain some confidence in this concept because, I mean, I was doing it. I knew I wasn't very, like I was raised to believe you got to be really smart if you're going to earn a lot of money. I knew I wasn't very smart and I was earning a lot of money. So I thought that's not true. Now, if you look at this next paragraph, it's rather interesting. He said, we can obtain the specialized knowledge that you require from this group. This is why you get together with this group, saving yourself years of time-consuming study and hardship. Gilbert doesn't have to spend the years that I have spent to learn what I learned. If I'm working with him, I can transfer it to him. You don't have to spend the years that Gilbert spent. He can transfer it to you. And this is how civilization moves ahead. If we had to start over every time, we would never make it. We do it by learning from each other, by cooperating. And what we've got to do is keep an open mind. Understand there's always a better way to do whatever we're doing. No one knows what we're capable of. Now, look at this for a moment. We have a company that's called the Chairman's Club. And we point out right here at the bottom is where wealth is a predictable result. Now, the Chairman's Club is just for one purpose. It's to teach people how to set up MSIs or multiple sources of income. Okay? And you can have these all over the world. As a matter of fact, members of the Chairman Club do joint ventures with people from all over the world because we have people come from all over the world to do that. And we've got one going this weekend, and I'm not sure where they're coming, but they're coming from all over the world. And the money, the people go there and they register their source of income, the MSI. And then a person can go there and find it and then get a hold of that person and find, is it a good one? And you want to have all kinds of them. Now, some of them are big and some of them are small. Do you know the beautiful part about the opportunity you're looking at here today, if you're here as a guest? This is exactly what this is about. It's about setting up MSIs. Now, when you set them up, some of them will become big and some of them will be small. But they all have one thing in common. They all flow into your bank account. Not mine, yours. And the people that have MSIs, some of them have real big ones and some real small ones. I was flying to Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia back in the early 90s. From Toronto to KL, it's 25 hours in the air. That's a long ride. If you go any further, you're coming back. It's as far as you can go. Right? Well, and I was going over there every month for about 5 years. I had a contract, a big contract with Malaysia Airlines. And so I would get on the plane. Now, if you sat beside me on the plane, unless you and I were traveling together, you would think I had absolutely no social intelligence because I wouldn't talk to you. If you asked me a question, I'd probably answer you, but I wouldn't look at you when I answered you. What I'm trying to do is discourage conversation because that's my time. I'm with people, with thousands of people every day, and I want time for me. I want time alone. So that's my time at 35,000 feet. And I carry with me a little calculator, and I use that to take a big number and break it into a small number. That's what Ford said to do, reduce, to the ridiculous. And I play with words and numbers. And so I'll be playing, and I wrote down 1, 3 zeros, and 3 more zeros. 1 million. And I took a look at it, and I guess I wrote it down. I was going to try and figure out how to earn $1 million on an idea. And I got looking at it, I got thinking about it, and my mind went in a different direction, because I'd already earned $1 million in the early 60s. And I'm thinking, what's so different about people? You know, million's like a magic number. We've written songs on it, we fantasize, like what would you do if you earned $1 million, you know, if you won $1 million, and we go through all these little scenarios. And I thought, what do people do that's so different? Because I know a lot of people that earn millions of dollars, and they're just very ordinary folks. God, I got talking to one guy here a couple of weeks ago. In fact, I started to work with him. He's one of the top league ball players. He wasn't making it, and he got into The Secret. And he not only made it, he was #2 in the American League, and they signed him up for another contract for $24 million. You see, by getting good at what he loved to do. Well, I thought, what do they do different? Now, in his case, he is just a great ball player. You know? I got thinking, and then all of a sudden it dawned on me. They don't have one source of income, they got a whole bunch of different sources of income. So then I started to write down the names of the people. And I wrote Mark Victor Hansen's name down, he's a friend of mine. And it started with there. And so when I got off the plane, I was excited. I thought, I know what we should do. We should put a program together and teach people to earn $1 million. And that's what we did. We called it the $1 Million Forum. And we were running seminars. And it was a week-long seminar. You'd go in on Sunday night and go right through until black tie ball on Saturday night. And we worked with people all week. Now, it was in those seminars that Mark Victor Hansen and Jack Canfield come up with an idea for the chicken soul for the soup books. And he thought, you know, you got lots of ideas. Proctor, give me some stories, you know. And Mark said, we're going to sell 50 million of them before the turn of the century. This is in the early 90s, and I thought, this guy's smoking something, you know. I mean, if you sell $1 million, you've sold a lot of $1 million. He's going to sell 54 or 50 million. Well, he didn't sell 50 million. He sold 74 million. They've since sold 150 million. They've earned millions of dollars, and they never even wrote the damn book. That's called intellectual property. That was an MSI, and it was a motherlode. I mean, it was a big one. Well, you see, anyone can do this, but you've got to think. You've got to mix with people that are doing it. You've got to get into the mind. See, we weren't talking about earning money. We were talking about ideas. We were talking about stretching our mind. We were talking about building the confidence that, yeah, I can do that. That's what it's really all about. This is what the win's about. And anybody can do it. There's no limit to it. You can earn all the money you want. There is absolutely no limit to it. Now, I think everybody wants time and money freedom. Did you know the strange part about it? The more money you have, the more freedom you have. Because it buys you time. You'll be amazed, absolutely amazed, how much free time you have when you never have to think about money. A person doesn't have the money, they're always thinking, can I afford it, what am I going to do, you know, and it's a game that they're playing. You've got to get away from it. You know what we have to do? You can do it right here, right now. You can make a decision that you're going to earn a lot of money. You don't have to know how to do it. You only have to know you're going to do it. That's really all that's required. Now, do you know a strange thing? He wrote a whole chapter on decision. Let me read you something he said about it. Those who reach decisions promptly and definitely know what they want, and they generally get it. The leaders in every walk of life decide quickly and firmly. That's the major reason why they're leaders. The world has the habit of making room for the man or woman whose words and actions show they know where they're going. Now, at the start of this chapter, he points out that after studying 25,000 men and women who had made it, all of them made decisions fast, and they changed decisions very slow. He said the people that don't make it make decisions very slow, and they change them fast and often. Now, he said indecision is a habit, which usually begins in youth. The habit takes on permanency as the person goes through grade school, high school, and eventually through college. The major weakness of all educational systems is that they neither teach nor encourage the habit of definite decision. This is so basic, and it's so misunderstood. I am going to show you something a little later on and then you're going to have to make a decision. You know what it's going to do? Somebody's going to say, do it, don't do it, do it, don't do it, do it, don't do it. And then somebody will say, what do you think I should do? I think you should make up your mind. I want to give you a suggestion. For the next week, don't ask anyone what they think you should do. The person you're asking probably doesn't think. If most people said what they were thinking, they would be speechless. Mental activity does not constitute thinking. Yet we find people going around, what do you think I should do? I wouldn't do it. No, I don't think so. You know. They're asking people who have never demonstrated that they know how to do anything. Don't ask anybody what they think you should do. Now here's the deal on decision. Let these lines represent levels of vibration or frequencies. That's what levels of vibration are. Vibration is a law of the universe. Some of you that like to see, how many like to see? It's pretty good. Well, the secret is about the law of attraction. But the law of attraction is a secondary law. The primary law is the law of vibration. The vibration you're in is going to dictate what you attract. You can only attract to you what vibrates in harmony with you. Well, let these lines represent levels of vibration or frequency. Now, you think on frequencies. You do. Now, there's a zillion of these. You go way down, way up. Let's say this is where we're thinking, on this frequency. And these puffy little clouds are our thoughts. And because of our thoughts, they form the ideas, and the ideas manifest in results in our life. Now, I want you to think about the results that you're getting in your life. You can think about the results in your relationships, in the health of your body, in your business, in the amount of money you earn, whatever it is. Then one day we say, this is what I really want to do. I want to take this trip. I want to start my own business. How many would really like to get their own business going so you never have to worry about working for somebody else again? Well, we say, that's what I'm going to do. But then here's what we do. We say, I'm going to do that as soon as this changes. Now, here's what's happening. If you take a look at this frequency that you're thinking on, you're not going to find out how to do that. The frequency that you're thinking on is not going to show you how to get there. The ideas that you need are up here on this frequency. And if you keep saying, I'm going to do that, but as soon as this changes, you're looking for the answer on a lower frequency, and it isn't there. That's like trying to get FM music on an AM talk station. You're not going to get it. You've got to change your frequency. So you say, I'm going to do that. Now, you don't have to know how you're going to do it. But you say, I'm going to do it. You instantly flip onto a higher frequency, and the thoughts and ideas that you need to get there are going to start rolling into your mind. How many of you have put a deposit on a house when you didn't know where the balance of the down payment would come from on closing day? Quite a few. But you got it because you wouldn't permit yourself to think you couldn't. Well, you see, when we say, I am going to do it, then we start to see how we can do it. But if we're trying to figure out how to do it before you can see how to do it, it isn't going to work. It isn't going to work. Why do we have to figure out how? Because when we were little kids, we're programmed that way. We go to our parents and we say, Mommy, Daddy, I want to do, and they'd say, now how are you going to do that? Well, what the hell? How's the little kid know? I would like to see the parent that's standing there saying, how are you going to do that? The little kid says, well, I figured it out. I'm going to make a decision first that'll flip my brain onto a different frequency, and then I'm going to start to entertain the ideas. I'm going to build a very clear, crystal clear statement, a picture in my mind, and I'm going to get emotionally involved. I'm going to impress that upon my subjective mind, and when I move into that vibration, I'll attract all I need. I really don't need your help. And you know something? That's going to be happening in homes, if it's not already happening. Because I used to think, how can we get to the kids? I thought we got to get to the parents. It's like I just said, I was going in the wrong direction. We're getting to the kids, they're getting to the parents. See, children get it a lot faster than the adults. Kids are making up their mind. We've got to change our mind. There's a big difference. It's a lot easier to make up your mind than it is to change it. Kids pick it up that fast. Look at how fast the kids pick up the computers. 3, 4 years old. Their emotions all over the place. They're going here and going there. God, we got to protect this kid, block that out. You get kids, you get your grandkids teaching you how to use the computer. Okay? Now listen, we've got a program we're going to introduce you to. In fact, pass those up. I don't want you to read this now. I just want you to talk to you about this. But this is a computer, or a program that will work on your computer. It'll work in a number of different places. And what I'm going to go into after I finish explaining this, I'm going to show you why you do and how you tick. There's a lady that came to a seminar around 3 years ago in Vancouver, Washington. Now, I'm going to ask when you get this, don't bother reading it, just listen and I'll get in and explain it. Because I want you to really try and understand this. This lady is one of the top lawyers in the North American continent. She's educated in the very best schools, educated on both sides of the ocean, graduated top of her class, went to work with one of the top law firms in New York. She's a securities lawyer. Thanks Gilbert. She's a securities lawyer. So she has done deals in the hundreds of billions of dollars. She's into bank acquisition and doing deals where they're buying banks. And she became an equity partner in one of the top New York law firms. After a number of years, she left that firm